It happened in minutes. Cars were swallowed, roads turned into rivers, and one of Massachusetts' busiest highways, I-93, completely disappeared beneath the floodwaters. An emergency alert lit up every phone in the greater Boston area. This is a dangerous and life-threatening situation. Do not attempt to travel. By the time most people were just starting their day, the chaos was already unfolding. Drivers were stranded, streets were shut down, and the rain, it just kept coming. But what caused it all, and how bad did it really get? The skies over greater Boston opened up without warning. Around 8:15 a.m., the National Weather Service issued a flash flood warning with a word rarely used lightly: considerable. Thunderstorms were pounding the area, unleashing 2 to 4 inches of rain, and it wasn't stopping. Experts warned the storm could dump another 1 to 2 inches within the hour. For commuters, it was chaos. Roads flooded so fast, people barely had time to react. One moment you're driving, the next, you're trapped in rising water. And this wasn't just a quick summer storm. The rainfall was so intense, the rate hit nearly 2 inches per hour, a level that overwhelms even the best drainage systems. But the worst was still ahead. By mid-morning, the heart of Massachusetts was paralyzed. I-93, one of the region's most critical highways, was completely shut down both north and southbound at multiple exits in Milton and Quincy. Drivers who tried to push through found themselves stuck, surrounded by water on all sides. And it wasn't just a highway. Local roads were drowning too. Independence Avenue, Water Street, Fifth Street, places people drive every single day suddenly looked like rivers. The Southeast Expressway, a major lifeline into Boston, was impassable. The morning commute didn't just slow down, it vanished. Traffic cameras showed cars stranded like islands in the flood. Emergency responders rushed to scene after scene, trying to pull people to safety. And yet, the rain still wasn't done. As the waters kept rising, emergency crews kicked into overdrive. By 10 a.m., Masted had teams racing to the worst-hit areas, especially the Southeast Expressway, where water had flooded entire lanes. Updates were coming in by the hour, but the situation was far from stable. Officials urged drivers, stay off the roads. If you weren't already trapped, turning around could be the decision that saved your life. Rescue teams worked intersection by intersection, trying to assess the damage and restore movement. But even as some parts of I-93 began reopening, others were closing just as fast. It was like chasing a moving target. In Quincy and Braintree, overwhelmed infrastructure made the situation even more dangerous. There simply wasn't enough drainage to keep up. The city wasn't just wet, it was submerged. And through it all, there was one big question. Where was the leadership? Even from out of state, Governor Maura Healey stepped in with a warning. Around 9 a.m., her team posted a message to the public. Heavy rainfall has increased the risk of flooding. Be safe and stay aware while commuting. It was a necessary reminder, but for many, it came too late. The roads were already underwater, and the storm was still gaining momentum. State agencies scrambled to coordinate updates, reroute traffic, and deploy crews. It wasn't just about fixing the roads, it was about protecting lives. But the flood was moving faster than the system could respond. And while the governor's message was clear, locals were left facing real-time danger with very few places to turn. On the ground, it was nothing short of a disaster. In Quincy, police shut down major streets like Independence Avenue, Federal Avenue, Water Street, and Fifth Street, all completely flooded. What used to be simple side roads were now impassable hazards. In Braintree, it wasn't much better. Union Street, The Landing, and Granite Street by Wood Road were submerged. Police urged, stay off the roads. Use alternate routes if you can. But the safest move, don't drive at all. People who tried to push through were met with stalled engines, rising water, and dangerous currents. Even those who avoided highways were getting caught on side streets. The rain may have fallen from the sky, but it was the streets and neighborhoods that took the hit. And for some residents, it still wasn't over. By late morning, the waters began to recede, but the scars were already visible. Just after 11 a.m., Mastit announced that all lanes of I-93 in Quincy had reopened, and by 2:30 p.m., traffic was flowing again in both directions. But the relief came with a sobering reality. In just a few hours, a major metro area had been brought to its knees by relentless rain. People were left shaken, some stranded, others dealing with damage to cars, property, and peace of mind. It wasn't just an inconvenience, it was a wake-up call. Because if this much damage can unfold in a matter of hours, what happens when the next storm hits harder, faster, or lasts longer? By late morning, the waters began to recede, but the scars were already visible. Just after 11 a.m., Mastit announced that all lanes of I-93 in Quincy had reopened, and by 2:30 p.m., traffic was flowing again in both directions. But the relief came with a sobering reality. In just a few hours, a major metro area had been brought to its knees by relentless rain. People were left shaken, some stranded, others dealing with damage to cars, property, and peace of mind. It wasn't just an inconvenience, it was a wake-up call. Because if this much damage can unfold in a matter of hours, what happens when the next storm hits harder, faster, or lasts longer?